Odessa already. There had been some public art committees previously, but they had become defunct at some point. And so with the oil boom, about a third of domestic oil comes out of Odessa, Texas. So we had over $750,000 in funding just through a 3% hotel motel tax, which was pretty incredible. So we worked and we actually developed a large master plan that went through everything from accessioning, commissioning work, how that went through the city itself, working with the city council, working with the Parks and Rec Department, and identifying different locations that public art could be created in Odessa, Texas. This was one of the first projects we did. It was a WPA Works Project Administration mural that was in the post office, and since it's owned by the U.S. Postal Service, we were the only city municipality that was funding the. Basically, this was cleaned up. So we spent the money from this public art committee to essentially clean and restore this painting, this large mural that resides in the museum there now. That was a Tom Lee. This is just a real simple example of the flow chart, the way that we had structured the master plan for the city or for the public art committee. Again, everywhere from defining the opportunities that were around in Odessa, all the way to the final maintenance and conservation of sculptures, murals, things like that. We started out, the mayor's public policy initiative is a great example of how to identify locations in Turlock that are a great place to start with this. And we started out asking the public what they wanted to see. And so these are some of the questions that we asked them. We had multiple forums, workshops, and surveys. What we found were people were most interested in public art that was interactive and playful, things that were for beautification and aesthetics, existing artwork that reflected particular stories, whether that was for Odessa or the population there. And then other things like parks and walking trails, corridors for the park or for the city itself. And then we also found that color, diversity in design and interactivity were the significant features that the population were interested in. And so some of the other projects that we used were things like these electrical boxes that you find on street corners. This is a kind of a big thing that's going around nationally, is how do you find artists, national artists that decorate these, and these were skinned using a local advertising agency. This is an ongoing project, and unfortunately I left for a fortunate position here at Stan State, but an existing structure, this was a $125,000 project to bring in an artist nationally recognized to create something, some kind of artwork out of this existing structure. So public art opportunities that are located really anywhere can be new construction. A lot of times this can be funded through a 1% for the arts kind of policy. Gateways and corridors, parks, civic and community buildings, plazas and lobbies and memorials. And I just have some, I'll go through these pretty quickly, but just some examples. It's not just murals, it's not just sculptures that can be public art. They can be things like lighting, so architectural lighting for at night. Finding spaces that are underdeveloped, like the underpass, for instance, is a really good example. Interior spaces like lobbies. And then getting to murals, so finding basically blank canvases that are around the city that either an artist who's particularly interested in murals or finding a group of people. In this case, we'll be working with students not only in the art department but throughout the university community as well that develop some kind of ideas. Again, getting groups of people who are interested together to design and then actually paint these. And it's good for civic engagement, right? Functional aesthetics, so things like guardrails or existing structures and again, beautification of these kind of elements can be really important. I love this example on the left of the geometrical tower. Different arches, again, portals, gateways to the community, to specific venues, can really create a nice sense of identity for that. Creative things like, again, these are railings for bridges. I was up in Sacramento last weekend and saw the parking garage, how they're doing the metal fabricated, decorations for that. Even things like painting crosswalks can be a place for this beautification. Mosaics on walls. And then getting into kind of parks, again, the functional in terms of designing, it could be bike racks, it can be benches, memorials. And then what I would consider to be traditional sculpture, but just in terms of sculpture, whether that's permanent, or a lot of communities will develop what's called a temporary sculpture competition, where a certain stipend is paid to an artist, typically $1,000, maybe $2,000, for the artist to loan their work, their sculpture, to the city for a year or 2 years. And that's a rotating juried competition that can create some really interesting sculptures that then go away. So it's and again, these are maybe more permanent. Sculpture gardens as well, so using existing parks. I was in Oxford, Mississippi for a while there too, and they received some funding from the city council and took an existing park and did the same thing, a juried sculpture competition that rotated around.
On silos, I just think is pretty cool. I mean, just the ideas are limitless. So.
Yeah, and I will say that, identifying all these sources, it was the same thing in Odessa. It's like, where do you focus your energy and the resources that you have? And so obviously, that's where we really went with the surveying, figure out what the community was interested in. Some of this stuff doesn't work in Odessa, Texas. It wouldn't work in Turlock, but it's still a place to look for certain opportunities. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, if you guys saw those survey results, a lot of them I think would actually overlap pretty nicely. I mean, that would probably be the answers you'd see: the aesthetics, the different aspects that I think the community in Turlock would like. But I don't know. Is there any comments or questions or feedback now to the public as well? Anyone have any feedback? Sure. Yeah.
First, welcome to Turlock then.
Thank you.
Mississippi and Texas is crazy. Turlock's the better destination for you. I'm excited. My first civic commitment to this city was on the arts department, or on the arts commission. So this is just like so energizing to look at it and think, okay, where can we put that? Ooh, I like that over there. I'm thinking in my mind already, right? Obviously, I'm just a one person here, but I think that you're going to bring so much vision to everyone that they can just go with that and make something that's not even on here yet. And I look forward to that.
Great.
So yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of involvement did you experience or did you pursue with respect to other public agencies within the neighborhood? In other words,
Absolutely.
You need me, call me.
Perfect. Great. Thanks.
The Turlock Regional Sports Complex.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Chair, Council, and Commission. Just want to give you an update on the Turlock Regional Sports Complex feasibility lighting study. Staff has started working on this project. We sent out 390 notifications to residents yesterday. Our plan is to have a public meeting at our next regularly scheduled commission meeting, which is October 11th at 6 p.m. at Pittman High School cafeteria. During that meeting, we'll go over with the residents kind of our plan for the lighting. The plan is 6 poles on each of the 2 fields on the south side of the sports complex. And this is the first of several community meetings that we'll probably have. But we just want to let them know what the project is, what our goal is. We have a rough estimate of about $263,000 for the equipment and the lighting, not including labor or the installation. As staff, we're also looking at what the lights are. They're going to be 50% more cost effective than the lights we currently have out at Pedretti, which we would expect because they're more than 20 years old. And once we get deeper into it, we'll be able to talk to the community about the way the lights are set up. As I look through this, they have 50% less spill and glare light that come off of them. So when you're talking about new sports lighting, you're not looking at the old ones that are just glare that go everywhere. So when you get into the neighborhood, you're going to see these are more very directed into the sports field. And being on the south side, I think it's really going to help the community understand. With these lights, once we get the study done, it'll allow us to add about 32 teams to our city softball rec league, equaling about $48,000. It'll also open up a lot of opportunities for us to have expanded tournaments. We don't have an estimate on that yet, but with the extra fields and the lighting, we'll definitely be able to add additional tournaments at that time. If you guys have any questions on where we are on that study, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Yeah. Any questions or comments? I'm glad you guys are pursuing this. This has been an objective for a while. This is good.
Yeah, we're pretty excited to get this project moving along. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric.
We had the fitness initiative that, I know we had a meeting before
Mhm.
about this.
Good evening, Mayor. Sorry. There it is, okay. Good evening, Mayor and Chair, Commission, and Council. That's kind of a mouthful there. Okay. I am very excited to present to you a concept that we are currently working on, and this was something that Commissioner Molander brought forward for consideration, and it is the concept of bringing more fitness-related equipment into our parks and our facilities. And so what we're going to present to you is a link to a nationwide initiative that's being launched that really has sort of sparked a deeper conversation about how the city is going to incorporate, or if the city is going to incorporate, more fitness-focused equipment throughout the community. And so this is just one example. It's kind of on the spectrum. It's I think a really sort of high-reaching initiative, but we can do it to that level, or we can do it to a lesser level, depending on what the community says they would like to see happen, and what ultimately council and the commission would recommend. And so I'm going to give you this presentation, and I hope that it will spark some conversation, because what we're hoping to do is just get some feedback from both of these bodies tonight on whether or not this is something that we should pursue. What I can tell you is that there is definitely a nationwide trend where you are seeing more cities adopting more fitness-focused equipment. You're almost seeing a complement to the youth-focused equipment where, in concept, you could have kids playing on the playground and mom and dad working out kind of in a nearby vicinity, where everyone's sort of getting some physical activity at the same time. That was the concept that we had presented for the Montana Park location, and so as part of phase 2 for that project, we have identified a fitness focused piece of equipment that will be flanking the playground at some point. So this, again, is just an example of a nationwide initiative that's happening, and I'm hoping it will spark some comment from you after you watch it.
This is why I'm here, to make this happen all. This is why I'm here, to make this happen all across the country. Let's make world-class fitness free for everyone. Hi, I'm Mitch Menadgett, founder of the National Fitness Campaign. National Fitness Campaign started in 1979 when we invented the fitness court. Our first 2 fitness courts were at Stanford and San Francisco, and the mayor and Wells Fargo Bank got behind the program, and over a period of 10 years, we opened fitness courts in 4,000 cities across America. We're introducing a new fitness court for the 21st century and launching a new national fitness campaign. The fitness court will allow you to use your own body weight to get a perfect workout. Our 7-movement, 7-minute system allows you to get a full body workout in just 7 minutes. 45 seconds of work at each station, followed by 15 seconds of rest. The system is progressive, so people at all fitness levels can use it. Easy or hard, it'll work for everyone. and it's adaptable as well. You can come to the fitness court and do any workout. If you're training for a Tough Mudder, if you're running a marathon, the fitness court will work for you. You can download our mobile app, learn our routines, and take some of the fitness challenges. This will allow you to compete on the fitness court against your own personal times and against your friends. You can also match the music on your phone to your workouts to make it a lot more fun. We're joining forces with Fit Radio to build fitness courts in 100 cities and schools across America in 2018. Fit Radio provides $10,000 for every $20,000 we raise. Each time we do this, we open a new fitness court. Our first new fitness court has been at Marina Green for more than 3 years now. Tens of thousands of people have used it, and hundreds of people from around the country and around the world have contacted us to get one.
I think it's amazing.
I love the fact that this is here and it's been here.
It's awesome. You can do a ton of different kind of workouts here.
It's a perfect spot right in the marina.
You can come out, enjoy the views, get some fresh air.
National Fitness Campaign is a social enterprise and I take no salary. So all the money we raise goes directly to building fitness courts across America. We envision fitness courts joining basketball courts and tennis courts as essential elements of healthy infrastructure in cities and schools. We're excited to work with you to build fit communities. Join with us and let's make world-class fitness free for everyone.
Any questions, comments?
Question or comments? Yeah.
I'm in. Let's do this. Fitness for everyone. I love it. I think it's beneficial in so many different ways. You know, it's expensive to be in a gym. This is interactive for your neighborhood people. Everybody will get to know each other on some level or something. There's just a myriad of different partnerships that will be happen because of this, and I think that it'd be really cool to bring it. Good idea.
So Brett and I, when we first kind of brainstormed over in this side room 2 months ago, and with some staff, and looked at potential locations and looked at some things, but also looked at dollars and cents. So do we want to kind of talk about kind of roughly how this process works and what we'd be looking at? Do we have those numbers or?
Well, if we were to go with this exact system, they sort of lay out their proposal in terms of what it would cost. But I will caution that the figures that they reference here, those are just for the equipment. Part of the city's obligation would be to prepare the pad that it would be placed on, and so there's additional costs that aren't quite discussed in this video, and so part of this discussion tonight was just to sort of get a sense if this was something that both of the bodies wanted us to spend some time on as staff to explore. And so I think that as you know, with our public project process, we would be subject to go out to bid. There are some nuances about this particular initiative that are somewhat unique in that they not only build it or bill it as a fitness amenity, but also it comes with this app, and there's this whole sort of campaign that they're building their project around. Whether or not we can put something out to bid that sort of encompasses all of that so that we can kind of get multiple proposals. I'm not sure. I'd have to work with Mike Pitcock just to kind of understand how that works relative to the public contract code when we start getting into dollars and cents relative to the construction itself. But I think what we were, really hoping is just to get a sense of, is this something we should, move on in general? And so, I mean, obviously I've heard from the mayor and from you, Councilmember Bublak, and I know our commissioners have already spoke about this and they're excited. It was really just to make sure that the two bodies were on the same page, and staff is excited to take it forward and start doing some exploring. And like I mentioned originally, this isn't the only, piece of equipment out there. We have had conversations with this manufacturer, and our challenge at this particular point, while it's very exciting and I think what they're doing is great, and according to them, they've got many cities across the nation that are jumping on board, so to speak. We don't have a lot of experience with them because they only have one amenity, and that's in San Francisco in the marina. So I can't pick up and call another city and say, hey, how's this working out? How do you do with maintenance? Have you experienced any vandalism, and how do you deal with that? So from a practical sense, those are the things that we always look at when we start evaluating new amenities and equipment. You know, what are the practical obligations that we're going to have to think about long term from a maintenance perspective? And so you know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't go with this or that we're not recommending that, but we just haven't done enough research to be able to make a sound recommendation at this particular point. But, you know, given the discussion tonight, we're happy to move forward with doing that research.
So my initial thought was that I was envisioning something like Foster Farms doing it for their workers, the hospital, where the outlining area, the seniors would be able to utilize it. I wasn't thinking the city were going to purchase those necessarily, but encourage and try and get that to start becoming more within all the districts and different sides of town.
So more of a private initiative. To
Sure.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, Councilman Nasker.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking nonprofit groups in town, like Sunrise Rotary over there. But I think this would be something that we get many of these groups to stand behind. I like the free part. How many people in here belong to a gym? Pay $10, $20 a month? How often do you go? Okay. Yeah. One guy. Okay. Okay.
Calling us out like that, Gil, I just don't know.
Hey, you know, that's it. So something like this would be free, and it's there when you want it, when you need it. You know, I like it. I like to see us look into it, but again, I'd like to have it financed by someone other than the city.
Got it.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
And I think that the fact that the installation in San Francisco is what we can find out from. Familiarity with California contract law,
Yes.
et cetera, it'd be a perfect fit from that standpoint. Any restrictions that we're going to encounter, they would already have encountered themselves.
Yes.
So, no, I'm all for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's good. I think that we should keep all our options on the table with strictly public-private partnerships, seeing what we can do also, because I think one of the things would be great if, for example, Emmanuel or Foster Farms picked it up, but at the same time, we want to make sure that this is accessible to all, and so maybe there's something that we can kind of a hybrid to that effect, and looking at how San Francisco did it or other cities did it, I think would be really smart. So yeah, I think that I think this council wants us to explore it, and yeah, if staff can look into it, and Brent, if you want to keep championing this and through the park commission, I think that'd be great. And rope me into it anytime. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
perfect.
I did envision that it would be like located along the transportation bike trails.
Mhm.
Ride your bike, get off, continue riding your bike. That was part of what we discussed before.
Right. Yeah. I think there's lots of options out there. I think you're gonna have to uniquely kind of see how that all fits in together. So that'd be great. Perfect.
That brings us down to council and commissioner comments. So let's start with Art. Any comments from any of the commissioners?
Go ahead, Bush. Hey, thanks again, guys. Let's give them a round of applause as they exit. Not only did they help repair Donnelly Park, but they sat through 45 minutes of a park and a city council meeting, so that's good. Sorry. Any city council comments or updates? Yes, Vice Mayor.
I'll just say some pretty exciting options with several different programs. So, thanks for spiriting those along. It's great stuff.
Okay, motion for Parks and Recreation Commission to adjourn. Second.
I do have a motion by the council.
So moved.
All right. Okay. All those unanimously, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming in. We'll come back about 6:01.